Greetings. Welcome to day 3 of the 31 Days of Tarot 2019 Challenge here on YouTube. The third prompt that was given us was to list our top 5 Oracle decks that we purchased in 2018. I have to say, this was a bigger challenge to me than listing the tarot decks because I have come to Oracle decks very late in the game. I do have a few Oracle decks that I've had for quite a few years, but I never really resonated with Oracle decks too much. I didn't really know what to do with them. It wasn't until a couple of years ago when I started combining decks that I saw a real purpose for them. I thought they were, they had a good purpose in being an addition to help add an element to a reading of other cards. But on their own, I didn't see that they were really very helpful. But now I think there's a lot more Oracle decks being made, maybe, or they're doing a better job with them, because the ones that I'm seeing now are pretty good decks. I think some of them even stand on their own for readings. But the ones on my list that I have identified came to me pretty late, either really late in 2018 or they were gifts given to me in 2018 that I really haven't had much chance to work with yet. So I can't really give you an honest appraisal of the decks yet, but I can tell you why I have them or why I look forward to using them, if that helps at all. The first deck is the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. Here's the lid, the box, by Colette Baron-Reid. I was really interested in this deck, and this is one that I did I purchase this one? No, this was a gift. This was a gift given to me. But when I was very interested in it, because, I'll show you some of the cards in a minute, because this card, the deck, claims to be able to help you look for certain patterns in your life. And you know how I say when I do dreaming, I include in my tarot journal, I do specific readings to try to understand why I'm dreaming certain things over and over and over again. And I usually see some kind of a pattern in my life that seems to be going in line with the dream. And journaling about it seems to help me through it. I think these cards may be really helpful to help me rather than using another deck. I'd like to really try using this deck to help me try to work my way through some of those dreams. Another thing I liked about this deck is that this speaks really clearly of building a bridge between from the material world to the spiritual world, which I think is a big goal for me this year, to try to bring the spiritual world closer to my everyday life. Doing the bullet journal is one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons for the bullet journal, bringing my spirituality into my day-to-day practice of just getting through the day, which is really kind of in line with my early Christian upbringing, and but yet in a kind of gentle way, if I could say. The other thing, this is really, I like this very much because it has reversals. It does read reversals, but it reads uprights and reversals as allies or challenges. And is the card being a challenge to you? Is this a challenge? The message of the deck, is it a challenge? Or the card, is it a challenge or is it an ally? And I really like that. It's not something negative. It's a challenge. It's just a challenge. So I'm really looking forward to working with this. And I'm very appreciative of my friend who gifted me with this deck. It's just lovely. The images are lovely. They're actual people. I don't like a lot of decks with actual people in them. You know, like they're not drawn images, that they're actual, like, yeah, I guess it's digital images of people. This is the Rainbow Prince. I know you can't really see it too well here. I'm going to show you this again. You'll be seeing it again later, so don't worry. Here's the resting tree, which I love this so much. And you see a young girl sleeping at the base of the tree. And that's really holds a lot of symbols for me. Gaia's Garden, the Shadow Queen, the Dreamwalker. Dreamwalker, somebody I could really identify with, I think. Dreamwalker. Anyway, the images are beautiful. They're provocative. They make you think. I find myself going to be challenged. I think I'm going to be finding myself challenged in a really positive way with this deck. So I really look forward to working with this deck. It's 44 cards. It includes 44 cards and a guidebook. And there's the back of the deck, which is lovely. You know, stepping through from the physical world into the spiritual world, which is so pretty. I'm excited. My husband's worried because I'm getting excited about these decks. Because you're not going to turn into one of these people who has to have 300 decks. And no, I'm not. Because my decks really, not that I have anything, there's anything wrong with those people because they're collectors and they have a reason to have all the decks. But my decks, trying to be very selective so that the decks are providing me something that other decks cannot maybe provide. Or they're better for certain times of the year or for certain kinds of readings, which I like a lot. Okay, the second Oracle deck that I chose is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. And this is a deck that I did purchase, and I purchased this really because I'm doing some work. I haven't even taken this band off of here. How funny. I haven't even really opened up the deck. If I could get it off. I guess I could slide it off. How bad I wanted the deck. No, I really did want it because the deck, there we go. And the deck shows the phases of the moon on the back, which is really lovely. The deck is there's different parts to the deck, different parts to the deck. Yes, to the deck. The first there are cards that represent the phases of the moon, such as dark moon, new moon, waxing crescent, waxing gibbous, last quarter, whatever, worm moon. And then there are decks, then there are cards that identify certain moons, named full moons, like the worm moon. What else do we have? The egg moon, the wolf moon. The wolf moon is what we have coming up in January. Thunder moon, hunter moon, etc. And now, when we talk about what the beaver moon, I love the moons. When we talk about what the name of the moon is, the full moons of every month are given a name. But they're given a name by different people. Like the indigenous people, Americans have, the natives have certain names for them. I know in Wicca covens we have names for moons. You know, you'll see different ones all the time. And there's something wrong with that. And as a matter of fact, the most charming thing I've ever heard was Annie used to be on YouTube. She really doesn't make videos anymore. Mirth and Reverence. She said in her training, she was taught to name the moons herself, to feel the energy of each full moon as it came through her year of study, and to give it a name so that it what resonated with her, which I really like that. But anyway, I'm working with the moons very closely in my bullet journal too, trying to compare, trying to see the phases of the moon, if there's anything, you know, when I pull certain cards, is it during certain times of the moon, or when certain things happen? What is the moon? I've worked before very closely with the moon. I've already do with the gardening as much as I can, but this is even more putting it into our own you know, into our activities, daily activities. Okay, so the wild moon, here's a good example, the wolf moon. I want to give you an example of what this deck has, because the wolf moon is something coming up in January. I know that, because I've already identified it on my calendar for January. The wolf moon is the 21st, this year, 21st, or, yeah, the 21st or 2nd, 21st of January. And here's the card for the wolf moon, which is beautiful. There's the full moon, and there's the wolf baying at the moon. Now I have a couple things that I took out of my book, took out of some books and put in my bullet journal about the wolf moon, and one being why it was named the wolf moon, apparently because has something to do with other animals not able to survive as well as the wolf. So it's a really good time for wolf to be hunting. Animals are not at their strongest, other animals. So it brings out the wolf, the hunter. But there's a good story that goes along with the wolf moon. In this book, I noticed that this one has it, and I've seen it in other books. It's a grandson talking to his grandfather, who is a member of the Cherokee people. And the little boy says, it is said that every person has two wolves inside them fighting. The first wolf gives darkness, despair, and hate, and jealousy, and sorrow. And the second wolf gives light, hope, helpfulness, and kindness. Yet, grandfather, I feel them fighting inside me. What can I do? And the grandfather says, my small son, these wolves will always fight. They will always fight within you personally, within each person. You're no different. But the little boy says, grandfather, which wolf will win? And the grandfather says, whichever wolf you feed. So the message of this card is actually being careful about what we nourish and feed within us. If we give abundance, if we give abundance to the aspects of the self that can harm others and ourselves, we cannot thrive. Having no limitations hurts us, starves us. Okay? But to ripple the happiness to others is part of why we're on the planet, to share the happiness that's inside us with others. So anyway, they have these little lessons, which I love a lot. So they're really, really good for, as an oracle. It's a lovely deck for an oracle. And it is possible to read with this as well. So that was one thing. I'm going to be using that a little bit in my along with my bullet journal. I told you about the Druid Animal Oracle. I mean the Druid Craft cards that I showed you. My book, Druid Craft, illustrated by Will Worthington. Also does some other decks, and the two that I chose to go along with my studies of the Druid Craft was the Druid Animal Oracle, which I love so much. Like, there's a lot of animal oracle cards, oracle decks, and they're beautiful, but oh my, this one is so simplistic, so simplistically beautiful. Has a little book that goes with it. That talks about it, offers keywords. You can actually do readings with these cards if you wish, but these are, you know, the images are just so lovely. There's the blackbird. Oh my goodness, the stag. The stag, glorious. You know, what else? Here's the owl. It's just, the artwork is just stunning. It's just stunning. And the, you know, the little meanings ago. Here's the raven. Here's the raven. The little otter, like the otter we see in the wild wood that I'm so fond of. Oh, and this, oh, I have to, this is my favorite. Of course, the cow. This is the Highland cow. So, I'm the little wren, which we cannot do anything about the ancient Druids without talking about, or the Celts without talking about the wren. The little wren. Okay, we'll talk more about that later. But anyway, this is a beautiful deck. A good accompaniment to the, again, it's very large. I might have to, it's a good companion deck. I might have to trim it. But I hope not, but we'll see what happens. I'll let you know. And then also is the Druid Plant Oracle. You know, this really speaks to me on so many levels because, you know, I am a medieval cook, and a lot of I'm very interested in ancient cooking as well, and how the evolution of cooking and how, you know, the use of all the local plants, the local flowers and herbs for cooking, for dyeing fabrics and wool and things and linen, and for medicinal purposes and healing of all kinds. So I love this deck so much because this has beautiful illustrations of all of these herbs. Now this is not all that they had in flowers. There's the bramble, which is the blackberry that grows everywhere. Burdock, chamomile, clover, comfrey, fern. There's flax. We get linen from flax. Heather, juniper. These are just, it's incredible. Madder, which, oh my goodness, madder, there would be no dye pot without madder. Madder is like a huge for dyeing. And mandrake. Again, woad. Woad, if you ever saw any of these movies, like, what do they have? With the blue faces, that was woad. Which, they really didn't do that. Plantain, nettle. Oh, nettle, one of my favorite, very favorite plants, nettle. Mugwort, all of these things. Anyway, they talk about all the properties. The book that comes with it is absolutely incredible. It's worth the price just for this book. Look at the book. Look at the size of the book. And it talks about the plant. It talks about what the card means. It talks about, there's things about what they do, other than, you know, what the plant is used for. It's just a really cool basis of study, just the book alone. So I really am looking forward to using these three together. It also has this layout page that's kind of, whatever. But anyway, so again, it's another big deck. I might have to trim it, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm anxious to use those three together and alone. So that's that oracle. And the very last oracle that I got is one I am just, excuse me. You were waiting for me to pull out the glass of wine. I know you are. It's so cold in here. It's so cold in here today. Tonight. I cannot wait to get into this deck. And it's going to have to wait a little bit. But this is called the Wisdom Keeper's Oracle Deck. Wisdom Keeper. And all this is, it looks so simplistic on the, well, to some people. Until you read the description, 64 faces of awakening. Excuse me. 64 faces of awakening. Here's the guidebook. And this book, well, let me tell you in order. What I did first was I just went through, got the deck out, and I started looking face after face after face with incredible illustrated, the paint, some of them are too dark for me to hold up, you won't be able to see, But every inch of that card and every inch of the face is decked out with some kind of ink work, color work. The hair, the noses, their symbols. And every one has a keyword. Like this one is patience. Diplomacy. Guidance, you see. And as I was looking, I went, oh, they're all faces. Well, I don't know about that. Then I saw every one of these faces. The key word is so spot on. Every one of these faces is so haunting. I sit and I look into the eyes of the people that I see on this deck, and I know the person. I immediately know the person. I am just drawn in to the soul that lays behind the eyes of this person. So when it says wisdom keepers, I swear that's exactly what these are. That's exactly what these are. That's discrimination. And I was so in love with each and every face. I just wanted to sit and get to know the person, like I said, behind the eyes. Farsightedness. Integrity. Some of them almost make you cry. They're so sweet. Sensitivity. Anyway, there's how many cards? 64 faces, 64 cards. Some of them you swear you know. I'm not sure who this man is, but I swear I know him. Self-assurance. Oh, there's even one that I think is like Jesus. It looks like Jesus. Authority. Does that look like Jesus? Like, I don't think what Jesus really looked like, but you know, like the images that we saw as children of what Jesus looked like, kind of look like that. I don't think we think that's what he looks like, really. But anyway, if it wasn't enough just to see these incredible faces and to read the keywords that went with them and to get to know them individually that way, when I got the book out and looked at the book, I was blown away. I was blown away. Each one of these people, each one of the faces, there's a statement that goes with each one. I'll look at wisdom. Wisdom. I probably already buried before wisdom, but anyway, just to give you an example, it says the gift of sensitivity is about being highly attuned to the needs of others. In order to sense others and their needs, you must first become independent from them. Okay, so the gift is sensitivity. Then there's a shadow. Well, the shadow would be codependence. There's more information anyway, but then it says also, there is with each face, there is a story, a wisdom story. And this story begins, I was born in the old country where men took care of the money, women took care of the children, adults took care of the elders, and God took care of all of us. Traditions and customs made up the fabric of our lives, and we didn't question them. When my girls were little, my sensitivity was welcome. They'd have a need, and I'd meet it. For every runny nose, I had a tissue. For every cold, hot soup, and for every tear, a bosom to cry on. But as I grew older and as the world changed, my ability to sense what they felt and needed was shrinking, etc. It talks about what happened as a result. Her story, she talks about that. Okay? And then at the end of her story is what's called My Gift to You. And it is about what wisdom has come out of her, what message has come from the wisdom story that she's giving to us, the Querents. And then there's some questions for contemplation, such as, are you sacrificing too much because of your need to be needed? What signals does your body give you when you've been giving too much? Are you denying a real need of yours because depending on others is scary? You isolate yourself, etc., etc. There are questions that go with each of these stories. This is an amazing book. I see so many uses for these cards. I can't count them. And I'm forever grateful for the community here on YouTube and all of you crazy tarot collectors who collect 200, 300, whatever decks, and come on here and share these decks with us. So we're able to sit back. Those of us who don't want 200, 300 decks, we're really able to sit back and pick and choose decks that really speak to us. And I'm really grateful for that. I kind of feel a little good about that. But all of these Oracle decks, I'm telling you, I think it's going to be a big year for me to actually use them. And I'm going to share my experiences with you here on YouTube. So thanks for watching day 3 of the 31 Days of Tarot 2019 challenge. And I will see you again tomorrow. In the meantime, I am Rebecca and I wish you blessings.